of one's life from the moment of birth, making it absolutely impossible to change. In the face of the fate array, all we can do is accept and bear our fate. Any resentment or resistance is futile, only serving to breed further anguish and sorrow. Accept your fate. With this life's fate array already set, individuals can only strive to influence their next life's fate array. Each person's fate array is unique and is entirely determined by their own spiritual cultivation. The fate array for one's next life is entirely within one's own control and choice. However, if one continues to live in a state of confusion, the fate array for the next life will likely not differ significantly from the current one, leading to yet another cycle of reincarnation. If one remains in a state of perpetual confusion, the cycle of reincarnation will continue indefinitely. Understanding the fate array and its roots, awakening to their implications is crucial. Without such awareness, individuals risk squandering their precious lives. Once on the wrong path, escaping the ensuing cycle of suffering and sorrow will require considerable effort. How does one break free from the current life's sorrowful fate array and enter a joyful one in the next life? This is a monumental task, involving macroscopic elements such as faith, beliefs, morality, ideals, values, outlook on life and life, worldview, as well as microscopic elements such as every word, action, thought, and intention. There are no shortcuts, no strokes of luck, only a solid, incremental approach. From the perspective of Life-Channeling values, it involves transcending the human fate array and entering the celestial one. Specifically, it means revering the greatest creator, revering life, revering nature, following the path of the greatest creator, adhering to and upholding the 800 values for New Era human, repaying all your debts from all your past lives and accumulating treasures in heaven by creating the Life-Channeling era for humanity. Simultaneously, it entails gradually disengaging from human society and entering the realm of celestial, fundamentally transforming one's values, outlook on life and life, worldview, and continuously replacing human consciousness with celestial consciousness. The foundation for all of this lies in building one's soul garden, removing the weeds of passive, negative, and pessimistic emotions such as jealousy, resentment, comparison, anger, hatred, condemnation, laziness, selfishness, greed, arrogance, hostility, infatuation, attachment, rigidity, stubbornness, cruelty, and fostering the growth of active, positive, and optimistic qualities such as truth, goodness, beauty, love, faith, sincerity, tranquility, and harmony. The simpler something appears, the more complex it is, and vice versa. While the origins of fate array and the endeavor to break free from their constraints are exceedingly complex when analyzed theoretically, the path forward can be distilled into a single concept: follow the way of the greatest creator. 36 8 Trigram Arrays, the Array of Gravitation. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qinyu. Everything in the universe is bound, or rather, protected by gravity. Without gravity, there would be no world, no universe, and no myriad phenomena, including all life forms. Gravity both confines and protects everything, including life. There are two types of gravity: material gravity and non-material gravity. The attraction between material entities is called material gravity, while the attraction between non-material entities is called non-material gravity. The strength of material gravity between objects is directly proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. The strength of non-material gravity between entities is directly proportional to the debts they owe each other and inversely proportional to the favors they have done for each other. When gravity confines and protects material or non-material entities within a certain spacetime, preventing their escape, it is referred to as a gravitation array. Humans are simultaneously bound by material and non-material gravity, which prevents them from escaping the cycle of reincarnation in the human world. Material gravity primarily confines humans to Earth, their physical vessel, while non-material gravity restrains humans through their indebtedness to nature, other life forms, and other individuals. To break free from the cycle of reincarnation and ascend to heaven, humans must overcome the constraints of material and non-material gravity. As long as there is a physical vessel, humans cannot escape the Earth and the solar system to reach other planets. The probability of escaping through micro-wormholes, space tunnels, interstellar gates, or lateral spacetime is virtually negligible for the general populace and falls outside the realm of conventional discussion. Therefore, to reach heaven, humans must first transcend the physical body. Only by shedding their physical body can they have a chance to escape the Earth and the solar system. The methods to transcend the physical body include natural death, ascension, phoenix nirvana, and astral projection. Life Echanuan emphasizes the method of phoenix nirvana. The concept of phoenix nirvana mentioned here shares similarities with historical concepts, particularly in Buddhism, but also has differences in nature and method. Therefore, it should not be equated with or misinterpreted based on historical concepts. Ultimately, the confinement of the physical body to life will be overcome, and there is no need for further in-depth study or discussion. What we need to focus on is the confinement of life by non-material gravity, which I have already discussed in The Law of Gravitation of Life. Please refer to that for further insights. How do we understand the gravitational pull of non-material on life? For example, when we travel away from home, we always long for our own home and eagerly anticipate returning. This longing, this constant desire to return home, represents the gravitational pull of non-material on life. Similarly, when we dream of flying, we often reach a certain height or distance before finding it difficult to fly higher or experiencing fear. This is also a result of the gravitational pull of non-material on life. Furthermore, when we are reincarnated, we tend to be born into familiar environments rather than unfamiliar ones. This, too, is due to the gravitational pull of non-material on life. For members of Life Echanuan, there is a clear phenomenon that accurately illustrates the gravitational pull of non-material on life. For example, when entering the second home, some members find it easy to settle in, while others face significant challenges. The primary reason for this discrepancy lies in the varying strength of the gravitational pull of non-material on each individual. Those with weaker pulls find it easier, while those with stronger pulls find it more difficult. Likewise, to transcend the human world and reach heaven in the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, or the Elysium Celestial Islands continent, individuals must first overcome the gravitational pull of non-material in the human and animal worlds. Otherwise, despite their yearning, they will struggle to take action, much like many members of Life Echanuan who find it challenging to settle in the second home, even though they aspire to do so. Where gravity is strong, material moves towards; where gravity is strong, life cycles and transforms. The gravitational pull of non-material on life is latent, imperceptible to humans, and operates independently of human will, determined by the program of Tao. Although heaven exerts a strong pull on humans, why is it so difficult for humans to enter heaven? It is because the gravitational pull of the debts we owe in our past lives far outweighs the pull of heaven. This principle applies only to the world of reincarnation. To completely break free from the cycle of life and enjoy eternal happiness in the Pure Land, commonly referred to as jumping out of the three realms and not staying within the five elements, one must completely sever ties with the world of reincarnation, while the only thorough way of severing is not owing any debts to it while amassing treasures in the Pure Land. This is the basic principle of the gravitation array and how to break free from it to reach an ideal state. The principle is easy to understand, but putting it into practice and achieving one's goals is not a simple task. The ultimate method for escaping gravitational constraints and reaching the other shore is extensively discussed and practiced in Chanyuan Corpus and Siafeng Corpus, and it is not further elaborated here. 36 8 Trigram Arrays, the Array of Nature. Siafeng. Translation edited by Qinyu. Humans live in nature, just as fish live in water. Humans originate from nature, live in nature, and return to nature. Without nature, there would be no humans. Without nature, there would be no vast world. Nature is the Buddha. Living in nature is living in the Buddha. To become a Buddha, one must live fully in nature. Humans can transcend everything, but they can never transcend nature. Nature is a characteristic of structure, and structure determines the nature of things. Whatever the structure, there is a corresponding nature. All things have nature. The essence of things is determined by structure, but the characteristics of things are manifested by nature. Different things have different natures. Mountains have mountain-like qualities, water has water-like qualities, flowers have flower-like qualities, medicines have medicinal qualities, animals have animal-like qualities, humans have human-like qualities, Buddhas have Buddha-like qualities, and gods have divine qualities. All things possess nature and live in nature. They exist in a limited environment because of nature, thus creating the splendid and orderly world, which is the nature array. Nature is divided into three types: innate nature, bestowed nature, and acquired nature. Innate nature is given by the Creator and is the essential attribute of things, belonging wholly to them. Bestowed nature is the characteristics bestowed upon various types of things to differentiate them, belonging to their respective categories. Acquired nature is the habits formed by individual things through the influence of their environment and survival needs, belonging to the individuals themselves. For example, all water in the world shares the common innate nature of water, which belongs to all water bodies. However, seawater, river water, spring water, rainwater, etc., each have different bestowed natures, belonging to their respective categories. Saltwater, tea water, medicinal water, tears, etc., acquire habits based on their specific uses, belonging to the individual level. Innate nature refers to the common attributes shared by all. Bestowed nature, inherent nature, refers to the characteristics possessed by a certain category of things, and acquired nature refers to the individuality of a single entity. For instance, let's take flowers as an example. All flowers share a commonality, which is their innate nature. However, flowers are further categorized into different families such as the Asteraceae, daisy family, Liliaceae, lily family, Orchidaceae, orchid family, Cactaceae, cactus family, Moraceae, arum family, etc., which is their bestowed, inherent, nature. Within the Asteraceae family, there are thousands of varieties like the chrysanthemum, golden daisy, black daisy, pink mini daisy, etc., each with its own individuality, which is their acquired nature. Humans, regardless of who they are, share the common characteristics of humanity, which is their innate nature. However, people of different races, yellow, white, black, have their own unique traits, which are their bestowed natures. Each individual person has their own unique personality, which is their acquired nature. Humans possess both innate nature and their own bestowed and acquired natures. Innate nature is a state of emptiness and elegance without form. It is the nature of Tao. Bestowed nature is a state of differentiation with the Tai Chi. It is the nature of virtue. Acquired nature is a habitual state of adaptation to the environment. It is the nature of reason. Benevolence, righteousness, propriety, wisdom, and trust are all results of acquired nature. How to escape the nature array? In terms of essential attributes, humans cannot escape the nature array because humans themselves are nature and cannot transcend it. To escape the nature array means to overcome acquired habits, discard bestowed characteristics, and restore innate nature. In other words, if humans surpass the rationality of benevolence, righteousness, propriety, wisdom, and trust, abandon the nature of virtue, and return to the nature of Tao, they can be considered to have escaped the nature array. When discussing nature, we must also talk about the nature of two sexes and the nature of sexual love. The nature of sexual love is not innate nature or acquired nature but bestowed nature. Humans are divided into male and female, yin and yang, due to the principles of Tai Chi. All things carry yin yet embrace yang, is also due to the principles of Tai Chi. From the perspective of cultivation, humans can only transcend sexual love and no longer engage in sexual love when they surpass the yin and yang of Tai Chi and return to innate nature to achieve self-harmony. This is the state of Buddhahood and also the state of super-celestial being. Humans come from nature, return to nature, and the path to returning to innate nature, the nature of Tao, is still nature. Only through sex can one return to nature. When yin and yang achieve balance and saturation, one can return to the sea of nature, the innate nature, the nature of Tao. If yin or yang is lacking, there will be imbalance and deficiency, making it difficult to return to the sea of nature, the innate of nature, the nature of Tao. Do not avoid sex. The more you avoid sex, the further you move away from innate nature, the nature of Tao, Buddhahood. 36 8 Trigram Arrays, the Array of Indulgence. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qinyu. All humans possess a degree of laziness, seeking comfort and indulgence, even to the point of extravagance and debauchery. Ultimately, when things reach an extreme, they reverse, returning to poverty and humility, completing a cycle of transitioning from poverty to wealth, from wealth back to poverty, from lowliness to nobility, and from nobility back to lowliness. This is the indulgence array. Humans are capable of striving, but when are they most likely to strive? The answer: when they are poor and humble. Humans are capable of falling, but when are they most likely to fall? The answer: when they are rich and noble. 98% of humanity finds it difficult to escape the indulgence array. Examples of those who have not been able to escape the indulgence array, from ancient to modern times, are countless and as vast as the ocean. From the downfall of a prosperous civilization to the decline of a thriving nation, from the prosperity of a family business to the corruption and decadence of a prominent figure, though the lessons are profound, people still follow one after another. This demonstrates the formidable power of the indulgence array. Without maintaining a clear mind and adhering to one's original intentions, no one can escape the indulgence array. Everyone can introspect. When we make some progress, do we begin to cultivate feelings of pride and complacency? When we become slightly affluent, do we already start to crave enjoyment and comfort? When we receive praise and admiration for our merit from those around us, do we start to feel a bit dizzy and lose our direction? When we attain some status and power, does our inner self no longer remain humble and cautious but instead reveal arrogance and dominance in our words and actions? With even a little gain, we become arrogant; with a little comfort, we stop striving; with a little accumulation, we become corrupted; with a little elevation, we think we have grasped the truth. Humans are so narrow-minded, so incredible, so hopeless, and so base yet difficult to reform. It is easy to go from frugality to extravagance, but difficult to go from extravagance to frugality, because the indulgence array is at work. During the Three Kingdoms period, Zhou Yu of Eastern Wu planned to lure Liu Bei of Shu into marriage with the luxurious life of Eastern Wu. If not for the superior strategies of Zhuge Liang of Shu, Liu Bei would have fallen into the indulgence array and suffered a setback. During the journey to the west to obtain Buddhist scriptures, if not for the unwavering will of Tang monk, reaching the holy mountain to obtain the scriptures would have been difficult. Look at the decline of the ancient Roman Empire. After the founding of Rome, the slave-owning class liberated themselves from physical labor through slaves. However, at this time, they were not thinking about the prospects of the republic or the empire, let alone becoming a philosopher king. Instead, they were engrossed in money and power struggles. When the ruling class fell into a situation they could not extricate themselves from, and the elites of the era did not think about problems from a historical perspective, the empire not only lost the driving force to create a new civilization but also foreshadowed the decline of the empire. The eyes of the rich only focus on gold, and due to their luxurious lifestyles, they are like moldy pockets that have worn out and can no longer hold wisdom, frankness, and loyalty. As the upper-class society continued to decay, with the end of the Republic, a large number of new people who became rich through commerce entered the Senate, and the number of aristocrats who were both officials and businessmen increased. Therefore, political power was drawn into the circulation field from various different channels, and the destruction of the legal system began from here. Columella also said, We often enjoy excessive banquets, we even use steam baths to make ourselves sweat profusely in order to eliminate the indigestion brought about by overeating every day. After drying our sweaty bodies, we will feel unbearably thirsty and think about banquets again. Looking at the increase in holidays, during the time of Augustus, there were only 66 holidays according to the calendar. This increased to 87 days during Tiberius. In the mid-4th century, it unprecedentedly increased to 175 days. Excessive extravagance in material life consumes resources, corrupts the ruling class, poisons social customs, and fundamentally destroys the spirit on which the Roman Empire was founded and progressed, which is no different from pulling the firewood from under the pot for civilization. If we forget the scene of the fall of ancient Rome due to its ancient age, then we should still remember the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom movement that occurred in China 160 years ago. Why did the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom fall? The answer: because it did not escape the indulgence array. The decline of civilizations, empires, nations, companies, and other phenomena, organizations, and groups is actually the decline of human nature, the result of humans seeking comfort, extravagance, and indulgence. It is an inevitable cycle caused by not escaping the indulgence array. As practitioners who have embarked on the path of the greatest creator, if we do not escape the indulgence array, the end result will still be the abandonment of previous efforts and a return to the cycle. Life Echanuan has already created a paradise on earth, the second home, a secluded utopia. Every Life Echanuan member should remember their original intentions. The more superior the environment and conditions, the more diligent, thrifty, modest, and cautious one should be. There should be no room for laziness, waste, or extravagance, let alone indulging in comfort and pleasure leading to corruption and decadence. Spiritual and mental enjoyment should be maximized, but material enjoyment should be limited. This limitation cannot be ensured by regulations but must be maintained by adhering to the values of Life Echanuan and each member's voluntary efforts to build their soul garden. If a Life Echanuan member is petty about what they eat, selective about where they live, wasteful about what they wear, extravagant about how they travel and communicate, lazy and sloppy in their work, and receives more from the home than they contribute, and does not put effort into improving the non-material structure of their life daily but instead thinks about freedom and even promiscuity in love and sex, they have already embarked on the path of seeking comfort and falling into corruption and decadence. This is what worries me the most. Without escaping the indulgence array, the beautiful utopia of the second home will be short-lived and eventually fade away, making it difficult to create a beautiful new life model for humanity. Without escaping the indulgence array, we cannot realize the ultimate ideal of going to heaven. How to escape the indulgence array? Apart from adhering to the 800 values for New Era human and building one's own soul garden as soon as possible, there is no other way. 36 8 Trigram Arrays, the Array of Destiny. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qinyu. The occurrence, development, transition, and extinction of everything and every phenomenon in the world all have a destiny. The Earth's year is 365 days, 5 hours, 48 minutes, and 46 seconds. This is a destiny. The mass of the Sun is 1.989 times 10 to the power of 27 tons, the mass of the Earth is approximately 9.89 times 10 to the power of 21 tons, and the mass of the Moon is about 7.35 times 10 to the power of 22 tons. These are also destiny. A person has 2 eyes, 1 mouth, 1 head, and 2 legs. The human body has 206 bones, and the heart beats 2.5 to 3 billion times in a lifetime. The normal pH of the human body is 7.35 to 7.45, and the normal body temperature averages between 36 and 37 degrees Celsius, underarm. Normal blood pressure is 140 mm of mercury, 18.6 kilopascals, systolic, and 90 mm of mercury, 12 kilopascals, diastolic. There is a specific size, quantity, and distance ratio between each organ in the human body. These are all destinies. Everything has a limit. Exceeding the limit will cause a qualitative change, or in other words, everything has a certain proportion or degree, and exceeding that proportion or degree will inevitably lead to the opposite. When water is poured into a container, there is definitely a moment when it is full. When eating, there is always a moment when you cannot eat anymore. A camel can only carry a certain weight. Beyond the maximum load, a straw can break the camel's back. A metal rod is very hard, but if continuously struck at a certain fixed point, it will eventually break. Everything has a destiny, this is the law of the universe. Regarding human life, the same law of everything having a destiny also applies. The number of teeth a person should have, the number of hairs, the number of sweat glands are all destinies. When a person is born, when teeth grow, when puberty starts, when aging begins, when death occurs, these are all destinies. It takes 21 days for a chicken to hatch eggs, and humans give birth after 10 months of pregnancy. This is a destiny. We know weather forecasts can predict the weather. This itself proves that everything has a destiny. If there were no destinies, it would be impossible to forecast the weather for the next few days, even impossible for a few hours. Throughout human history, some people have been able to predict the future changes of the world, which also proves that everything has a destiny. Before the discovery of some chemical elements, Mendeleev arranged the periodic table of elements and predicted the existence of other elements that had not yet been discovered. This means that everything has a destiny, a law, and a rule. So, how long a person can live in their lifetime, what diseases they will get, when they will get better or worse, what kind of people they will meet in their lifetime, what conflicts they will have with others, what blessings and sufferings they will experience, what kind of hardships they will endure, and even what kind of work they will do, are all destinies that cannot be escaped. This is also the truth summarized by the ancients: what is meant to be will always find a way, what is not meant to be cannot be forced. Giving everything a certain destiny allows them to grow, decline, change, and transit within a certain destiny, thus maintaining the orderly operation of the world, which is the destiny array. Without the destiny array, the Earth would run out of the solar system, tigers would grow wings, mice would be bigger than cows, people could drink the Pacific Ocean in one gulp, some people would live for tens of thousands of years on Earth, and seasons would not change periodically. The destiny array is a constraint. Confining everything within a certain range, proportion, or degree is the function, value, and significance of the destiny array. If one does not escape the destiny array, as a human, they will inevitably continue to cycle within a certain domain of life. So, how can one escape the destiny array? Grafting apples onto cold-resistant pear trees produced apple pears. A common iron rod becomes magnetic and directional after magnetization. Ordinary iron, when carbon is added, carbonization, becomes alloy steel, greatly improving its strength, hardness, toughness, and plasticity. Saccharin and sweet wine, chestnuts and duck meat, persimmons and crabs, shrimp shells and red dates combined into food become toxic. Morphine, derived from the opium poppy, reacts with acetic anhydride to undergo esterification, resulting in the formation of its diacetyl derivative, which is the notorious drug heroin. When the nature of things changes, their destinies change accordingly. The key to escaping the destiny array is to replace human consciousness with celestial consciousness. After the replacement, the destinies as a human end, and the destinies as a celestial being begin. 36 8 trigram arrays, the array of instinct. Xiefeng. Translation edited by Qinyu. The innate survival ability that individuals naturally exhibit without any thought, learning, practice, experience, or simulation, according to the program set by the greatest creator, is instinct. Examples include bees making honey, birds building nests, hens hatching eggs, spiders spinning webs, migratory birds migrating, lambs nursing, butterflies emerging from cocoons, mice digging holes, roosters crowing, cats catching mice, doves courting, peach trees blossoming, pear trees bearing fruit, Mimosa pudica curling leaves, animals fleeing, and so on. Instinct is the innate ability that the greatest creator bestows upon various levels and types of life to maintain their own survival and reproduction. The process of directing various levels and types of life to instinctively maintain their own survival and reproduction according to a set program is called the instinct array. Humans have three major instincts: physiological instincts, mental instincts, and spiritual instincts. Physiological instinct is the instinct for survival, mainly manifested in the instinctive need to eat, drink, sleep, have sex, and in the instinctive reactions of fear, resistance, and evasion. Mental instinct is the instinct for desire, mainly manifested in the instinctive pursuit of romantic love, friendship, sex, domination, possession, wealth accumulation, elevation, and consolidation of status and reputation. Spiritual instinct is the instinct for eternal life, primarily manifested in the fear of death and the desire for immortality. The lower the level of life, the stronger the instinct; the higher the level of life, the weaker the instinct. Lower-level life forms depend more on instinct for survival, while higher-level life forms rely more on spontaneous ability to live. Bacteria and microorganisms rely entirely on instinct for survival, as do plants. Insects primarily rely on instinct for survival, animals mainly rely on instinct for survival but also begin to apply thought, experience, and emotion. Humans rely on both instinct and experience, thinking, emotions, and spontaneous ability to survive and live, while celestial beings rely mainly on spontaneous ability to live, and super-celestial beings completely transcend instinct and rely on self-awareness to live. Instinct serves as both protection and constraint for life. Because of protection, life naturally possesses the ability to survive; because of constraint, life finds it difficult to transcend its own kind and ascend to a higher level of life. This is the value and significance of the instinct array. Without escaping the instinct array, life finds it difficult to ascend to a higher level of existence. To escape the cycle of one's own life form and become a celestial being living in heaven, one must escape the instinct array set for humans. The weaker the instinct, the farther from humans and closer to celestials one becomes, while the stronger the instinct, the farther from humans and closer to animals. In other words, the less one relies on instinct, the more one can escape the instinct array, while the more one relies on instinct, the more one will be trapped in the instinct array and unable to break free. How to escape the instinct array? Start from the three aspects of physiology, mentality, and spirituality. Physiologically, reduce the need for and pursuit of eating, dressing, living, aging, sickness, and death, and don't put too much effort into these aspects. Stay away from fear, resistance, and escape. Mentally, free oneself from emotional dependence on others, break free from the constraints and confusion of romantic love and sex, don't pursue possession, don't pursue wealth accumulation and social status, and don't seek fame and reputation. Spiritually, don't fear death, and don't pursue eternal youth. By doing so, one can escape the instinct array. Next, one should elevate one's thinking ability, letting one's thoughts transition towards visualized thinking, Taiji thinking, formless thinking, and holographic thinking. On one hand, act in accordance with our natures, and on the other hand, consciously create our imagined future. Most importantly, learn from the celestial beings in the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium Celestial Islands continent, imitating their way of thinking and living. Over time, one can escape the instinct array and reach the realm of celestials. 36 8 Trigram Arrays, the Array of Life and Death. Xiefeng. January 4, 2011. Translation edited by Qinyu. Life continues endlessly, revolving ceaselessly, erasing memories of past lives, and reappearing as a new self in specific time and space, with endless hope, all things thriving, life endlessly repeating, dramas unfolding, and ceaseless games. This is the life and death array. Life is a cycle of growth and decline, arising and dwelling, decaying and emptiness. It is constantly renewing and eliminating, scene after scene, act after act. While humans cannot live eternally, the cycle of life and death is eternal. The human soul does not die, yet we believe we will eventually face death. Ahead, there is always a new view; behind, the scenery gradually fades from the horizon. Like waves, life pushes forward, each wave becoming the next, appearing bright yet dark, dark yet bright. It's an endless journey without an end, a cycle without a conclusion. This is the array of life and death. Arrivals continue, departures never cease. The train of history carries life along tracks without a terminal station, endlessly traversing on ever-changing temporal paths, seeming new yet not old, seeming old yet not new, seeming familiar yet not original, appearing clear yet confusingly inverted. This is the life and death array. Drifting in the river of history, jostling on life's path, sometimes uncertain of the way ahead, sometimes seeing light after darkness, forgetting past grievances, anticipating future joys and sorrows, reluctant but unable to escape, drifting aimlessly with the current or flowing clear with the stream. Just as one ascends a peak, immediately, a canyon follows, different rebirths, the same conclusion. This is the life and death array. Both sorrow and joy, both joy and sorrow, sometimes tragedy, sometimes comedy, sorrow and joy intersect, joy and sorrow alternate, seeming full of hope, yet despair lies at the end. What appears as despair holds hope at its end, with spring and fall they come and go. This is the life and death array. Scenes never ending, paths never fully traversed, hardships never fully consumed, suffering never fully endured, joys never fully enjoyed, calamities never fully borne, anger never fully vented, debts never fully repaid, endless permutations, a human life journey with a beginning and end, relationships entangled, rise and fall, honor and disgrace fluctuate. This is the life and death array. Every person is within the life and death array. Without escaping it, there is no end in sight. Without escaping it, one cannot break free from the 6 realms of reincarnation. Without escaping it, one will suffer the torment of the 5 element cycles. Without escaping it, one can never reach the sacred realm of the celestial land. How to escape the life and death array? Where there is life, there is inevitably death. Where there is death, there is inevitably life. Without birth, there is no death. Without death, there is no birth. Life and death depend on each other, each being the root of the other. Think unconventionally, let your imagination soar. Transform life into death, transform death into life. Only live, never die, only die, never live. Without birth, without death, without death, without birth, die first, then be reborn, living without death. Stay away from inverted dreams, stay away from illusions, stay away from the pursuit of possessions, stay away from the material world. Abandon love and hatred, abandon closeness and distance, reject worry and fear, reject intoxication with life and death. A spark of enlightenment illuminates the vast universe. Without attachment, without hindrance, right and wrong vanish, honor and disgrace are irrelevant. Flowers bloom and wither without stirring emotions, clouds gather and disperse without affecting the heart. Without agitation, without worry, without attachment, without restraint, follow the flow and roam freely. Everything is a game, only life is real. Treat everything as a game to play. Hold tightly to the greatest Creator's hand, sever worldly ties, and establish celestial bonds. 36 8 Trigram Arrays, the Array of Wisdom. Xiefeng. January 12, 2011. Translation edited by Qinyu. In the vast ocean of Buddhist terminology, there are 2 words that stand out, 2 words that inspire longing, prajna and bodhi. Both of these Buddhist terms are related to wisdom. Defining wisdom is challenging. According to the Xinhua Dictionary, wisdom is defined as the ability to quickly, flexibly, and correctly understand and solve problems. In my view, this definition is superficial and fails to encompass the full meaning and scope of wisdom. Wisdom is the crystallization of knowledge, including experience, but having knowledge does not necessarily equate to wisdom. To elevate abundant knowledge to wisdom, there must be the guidance of spiritual intuition. Without spiritual intuition, wisdom is unattainable. Therefore, if we were to force a definition of wisdom, it would be, knowledge plus spirituality equals wisdom. The pinnacle of human wisdom is the Diamond Sutra. The full name of the sutra translated by Kumarajiva is the Vajraketaka Prajnaparamita Sutra, while the version translated by Xuanzang is the Vajraketaka Prajnaparamita Sutra of Cutting Through to the True. Both versions contain the term prajna. Here, prajna signifies a perfect, complete, absolute wisdom that comprehends both worldly and transcendental phenomena, harmonious and unobstructed, impeccably precise, and fully enlightened. It refers to the wisdom that can comprehend the Tao, realize the Tao, cultivate the Tao, transcend life and death, overcome all worldly thoughts, and attain sainthood. This is not ordinary intelligence, it is a fundamental wisdom pertaining to the essence and origin of metaphysical life. This wisdom is not obtained through thought but through the wholehearted pursuit of realization involving both body and mind. This wisdom is what we call prajna. In the Diamond Sutra, the Heart Sutra, and other Buddhist scriptures, mention is made of Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. In the second chapter, Subhuti makes a request of the Diamond Sutra. The Buddha states, "Good sons, good daughters who generate the mind of Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi should dwell thus, should subdue their minds." In the Heart Sutra, it says, all Buddhas of the three periods, relying on Prajnaparamita, attain Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. What does Bodhi mean here? Bodhi signifies enlightenment, wisdom, awakening. It refers to the sudden awakening, the sudden understanding, the sudden entry into the path of enlightenment, the sudden realization of truth, reaching the realm beyond the ordinary. Bodhi is the great awakening, the perceiving of one's nature, the attainment of the ultimate enlightenment, reaching the level of nirvana. From the above, we know that wisdom can be divided into three levels: low-level wisdom, middle-level wisdom, and high-level wisdom. The ability to quickly and flexibly understand things and solve problems constitutes low-level wisdom. For example, two brothers carrying a large box each while traveling, feeling tired. The elder brother ingeniously buys a pole to carry both boxes on his shoulders, and the two brothers took turns to carry the two boxes, making the journey easier. This is wisdom. Another example is the wisdom demonstrated by Chao Chon weighing the elephant and Archimedes determining the purity of the gold crown for the king. Middle-level wisdom involves understanding, realizing, and attaining Tao, and in the end liberating oneself from the samsara of reincarnations, overcoming all worldly thoughts and attaining sainthood, as seen in the wisdom of bodhisattvas like Avalokitesvara. High-level wisdom entails the great awakening, the perceiving of one's nature, the complete unity with Tao, and the ultimate nirvana, as exemplified by the wisdom of the Buddha Shakyamuni. The highest realm of wisdom is the absence of wisdom, or what can be called holographic wisdom. Giving people appropriate free will, then allowing them to use wisdom to create a more comfortable life and state of mind in the vast ocean and sky of nature to satisfy various desires and greed, thereby maintaining an interesting and effective interpretation of the cosmic script, is called the wisdom array. Sun Wukong had 72 transformations but couldn't escape the palm of the Tathagata Buddha. Wisdom is a splendid thing, and humans cannot do without it. However, wisdom is also a devourer of time if not handled properly. Playing with wisdom poorly can lead to the squandering of life and bring endless harm. Weapons like atomic bombs, which destroyed Hiroshima and Nagasaki, are the crystallization of human wisdom. Did Einstein have wisdom? What did he accomplish in his lifetime? What substantive value and significance did his wisdom bring to his own life and existence? Not to mention us ordinary mortals. A lifetime devoted to the pursuit of knowledge and wisdom is the most contrary to the principles of nature, the misdirection and tragedy of life. The highest realm of wisdom is the absence of wisdom, or holographic wisdom, which is a wisdom that humans will forever find difficult to understand, comprehend, and attain. Therefore, as humans, we must both play with wisdom and escape from it. We must never be ensnared by wisdom, intoxicated by wisdom, and ultimately devoured by wisdom. The clever are tricked by their own cleverness. Wisdom can devour those who wield it. Therefore, Jesus warns us to become like children. Therefore, the Buddha warns us to discard the raft after crossing the river. Therefore, Laozi teaches us to return to simplicity, to return to infancy.